Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, December the 14th, 2016, show number 1118, 11 days before Christmas, and we can all stop dealing with it. I'm your host, Shawn King. Thank you guys very much for joining me, whether you're listening in live or tuned into the archive. We're just chatting in the IRC chat room about who is the coldest, and apparently Dave D is the coldest listener live. It is supposed to be minus 30 with the wind chill there in Minnesota. That's, jeez. But he also says, we got the vortex, the polar vortex. It's not a polar vortex, okay? Don't give it new words to describe what is just simply cold. Okay? It's just cold. You don't get to call it a polar vortex. You don't need a fancy name for cold. Cold is relative if you're used to it. If you're not used to it, as Binky says, it's 66. So for him, it's cold there in Florida. For us here in the greater Vancouver area, it is minus 5 right now, Celsius, which for us is quite cold. We got a foot and a half of snow out here in Chilliwack, I think a little less in the big city, but any amount of snow for Vancouver is a nightmare because it's the Pacific Northwest, same with Portland and Seattle and Vancouver. We get the same weather. It rains a lot. And so our city services aren't equipped for snow, for amounts of snow over 2 inches. So it's, yeah, I if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I think it started snowing on Friday, and the nice neighborhood kid came over, very industrious young man, comes over, kid's 12 years old, and he says, I'll shovel your walk for $2. I was like, no. And the poor kid was like, no, dude, do it for $5. $2 is nothing. And he did a good job. It then snowed again, like 12 hours later. Kid never showed up. It was like, no, I made enough money. I got enough money. I don't need to do it anymore. So I had to shovel it again. And shoveled it again, like 6 hours later. So it's been through 3 shovelings, and even the third one was only a half shovel. I just didn't do all of it. Just did what we needed to do to walk through it. So but it's very pretty. There's no doubt that when you live in an area where it snows, it's gorgeous. Really, really beautiful. It's a pain in the ass to drive in. It's a pain in the ass to walk in. Unless you're a kid, it's no fun in any way, shape, or form, but it's gorgeous. Especially when you live in an area like we live in with mountains literally surrounding us. On all 4 sides, your view is what you see on the screen right now, which is mountains. Not as spectacularly beautiful as, say, Banff, where you're a lot closer to the mountains, but still, it's so pretty out here with the snow. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous part of the country. So if you get a chance to come out here, please do. It's beautiful. On tonight's show, I'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of the Limp. I don't know why I said that. Of the Loop. I know why. I'm on my 3rd beer. It's been a long time since I've had more than 2 beer before a show. No telling where this is going to go, kids. Just to warn you. I'm going to talk to Jim Dalrymple of the Loop at loopinsight.com. There's been a series of events. We've talked to them individually over the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They're starting to pile up. Apple finally announced the Airpods, and they were sold out instantly. If you ordered AirPods right now, you ain't getting them till well after Christmas. They're supposed to be ready in October. The new Beats wireless headphones, they're not going to be ready until February, which to me says it's a problem with the W1 chip. They removed the battery indicator from the new MacBooks because it's inaccurate. I understand why it's inaccurate, but it just feels like it's one thing after another in the last couple of months with Apple. Is this a sign of anything? Or is this just 2016, which just sucked all around to begin with? We'll talk to Jim about that. The other thing, Microsoft announced that the MacBook Pro users are disappointed and that they are selling more Surfaces to Mac users than whatever. The problem I have with that is not the fact that it's Microsoft saying it's marketing speak. It's what PR people do. They pimp things. What I have a problem with was the media unquestioningly accepting that statement from Microsoft without ever saying, wait, what are the numbers? You say they're disappointed? How do you know? Are you just going by anecdotal responses on websites, on Twitter, on Facebook? Do you have data to back that up? You say you're selling Surface Pros hand over fist. How many are you selling? And I got not accused, but it was pointed out to me, and rightly so, that people didn't do the same thing for Apple. And I said, yes, I did. Last couple of weeks ago when Tim Cook said, we're selling more Apple Watches than we've ever had before. Well, how many? When Amazon comes out with their Kindle sales fake numbers. The Kindle's the most popular thing we sell. Really? How many have you sold? We're not telling you. Well, then piss off. I have no problem with companies doing marketing speak. I have a problem in the media unquestioningly repeats those things. We'll talk to Jim Dalrymple about that. And then in our starting point photography segment, we're going to talk about Christmas gifts for the photographer in your life. A range of stuff, everything from big expensive things to little tiny cheap things, either for yourself or for your favorite photographer. All that and much more coming up on the show. Monty says, Shawn, I like the 360 shot you posted to Twitter a couple of days ago of the snow. That was with that Theta S camera, which is a really cool camera. It's a giant pain in the ass software-wise, but the camera's neat. It does some really, the picture quality is not great, but it's still pretty cool. And if you follow me on Facebook, if you saw it on Facebook, same thing with the Twitter link. When you click on the theta360.com website, it automatically just starts spinning for you. I like it. It's kind of a neat. Not every image works at 360, but I can see some very interesting uses for that camera. It's fun to use. What was I going to say? Oh, a couple things, housekeeping stuff, good news, bad news type things. This did not get enough play, and it's a bad news thing, so maybe that's why. But it was 4 years ago today that Sandy Hook happened. And if you don't know what Sandy Hook is, you're either an idiot or very lucky. Sandy Hook was the massacre of 20 children and I think 6 adults in Connecticut 4 years ago today. It's the reason why I left America. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. For those folks who may not know, I used to live in Danbury, Connecticut, which is the next town over from Newton, Connecticut. And I rode my motorcycle almost every day in the spring and fall and summertime through Newtown to get to New York State to go riding. It's a beautiful little town. It's very. If you've ever been to any town in New England, you've been to Sandy. You've been to Newtown. It's a one main street. It's got the coffee shop and the city hall and the library and all the moms would hang out at the coffee shop after walking their kids from the school, Sandy Hook Elementary School. And I would ride my motorcycle by there, and it's kids. So, you wave at kids, they wave at you. And so I know I waved to some of those kids. And when it became obvious to me that America wasn't willing to do anything about the massacre of babies, I had to leave your country. It's a great country, but that was for me the thing. I did not want to live in a place where the massacre of children was acceptable. No one thinks it's okay. But for a large percentage of the population, it's an acceptable thing. And I didn't want to live there anymore. So keep those parents in your thoughts this Christmas. They're going through their 4th Christmas without their babies. So if you get a chance, give a little bit of thought to the children of Sandy Hook. In not as bad news, but Vox had a story. I rely on thrift stores to keep my family clothed and fed. What you donate matters. This time of year, when some of us get a little too wrapped up in acquisition, in getting things, giving things is great. And at this age, for most of us, giving is much more fun more enjoyable than getting. And a lot of the times, I've said this before, it's because at this age, you ain't getting me what I want. You know? And so I don't want to be disappointed. Like, you know what I want for Christmas? The one thing I want for Christmas that is relatively affordable, I'd like a new motorcycle. I'm not getting that. What I'd want for Christmas, and this sounds funny and strange, but I would love a KitchenAid stand mixer. I've been having fun cooking. This past week, I made the most delicious ginger molasses cookies. Oh my God, they were good. Sherry, if you wouldn't mind, could you repost or repost the recipes that I posted in the IRC earlier? If you would put those 3 recipes in from Gimme Some Oven, chewy ginger molasses cookies. 3 days later, they're still chewy. Because one of the problems that we always had with ginger cookies was they got hard as rocks after like a day. These things are still 2 days later, oh God, so chewy. And then I made biscotti, gingerbread biscotti. This is the time of year in my brain of gingerbread. And so I'm on a gingerbread kick. I made gingerbread biscotti, which isn't bad. It's not great. I can make it better. And then I made Nutella mousse, which, guys, if you ever want to impress the lady in your life, this is the simplest dessert you can make. It's Nutella and whipped cream. That's it. If you've got a mixer, you put it in there and you mix it up. If you can do it by hand, I did it by hand. Like I said, I don't have a hand mixer. It's so easy. But I want this KitchenAid stand mixer, 5 quarts. But it's $250. No one in my life can afford a $250 present for me. So I'd rather give stuff than get stuff because I'm not going to get the things I want. That's fine. You know, after a certain point, you accept that. But this story on Vox, I rely on thrift stores to keep my family clothed and fed. This time of year, as we're looking to give and get things from our loved ones and friends and family, give a thought to those folks like my mom, who was forced to shop at thrift stores. If you haven't worn something in a year, give it to a thrift store this Christmas. Go through your closet, and those clothes that are in good condition, you just haven't worn them in a year or 2 years, bag them up, take them down to your local Salvation Army, your local Sally Ann, your local whatever. Because people like my mom would love to be able to buy that stuff. I hated it when I was a kid. I was ashamed to go into Salvation Army. To this day, I don't like buying used. I never buy used clothes anymore because in my head, that means poverty. That means being poor. But it was the way my mother clothed us and to a certain degree fed us when we were kids. There are thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of people throughout the world, certainly in the United States and Canada and everywhere that is listening to me right now. Millions of people, millions of mothers out there who are trying to find a way to get through this holiday season, to give their kids something, even if it's just one thing under the tree. And those people, primarily women, are at their local thrift stores looking for that jacket, looking for those boots, looking for those clothes to put on their kids' backs, to put under the tree. So if you don't have anything, if you have stuff that you don't wear anymore, you don't use anymore, please donate to the Salvation Army or your local Goodwill, whatever it might be in your area. They'll appreciate it, and I guarantee you, folks like my mom would appreciate you doing it too. Our good friend Lauren Finkelstein, the official Jew of Your Mac Life. If you're tuned in earlier to the show, I actually posted up his website, facebook.com/Tapestry Choir. He and his choir group are actually watching Lauren right now. He's walking with the camera. They are doing a choral thing in New York City right now, live. Right? You're watching live video off Facebook Live with Lauren and his choral group. We were listening to it earlier. It's kind of cool. And if you're interested, if you're in the general area of New York City, They're doing it on tonight and Saturday. Church of St. Thomas More on East 89th Street, $15. What a lovely way to do something for Christmas. So if you get a chance, go to facebook.com/tapestry choir to check out what Lorne and his choral group are doing. As I said earlier, we're going to talk about Christmas gifts for the photographer in your life. If you have any ideas of things that you want to get as a photographer, let me know. Send me emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. But up next, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. But a whole bunch of stuff. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King, joined on the phone right now by our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Merry Christmas, by the way. Oh no, hopefully we'll talk to you next week. But hopefully you're basking in the beautiful sunshine of Northern California. Is the weather good there this time of year?
It's raining.
Oh, poor Muffin.
Yeah, no snow though. My parents sent me pictures of snow. That's as close as I ever want to see it again.
I don't know about you, Jim, but I still love our home province. I still love our home area of Halifax.
I love Canada.
But I do not want to go back to the fucking snow.
No, I don't want to ever see snow again, ever in my life.
I had a chance when I left the U.S. 3 years ago. I thought, you know what? I should move back to Halifax. Jim's there, my mom's there, my sister's there, and I talked to my sister on the phone. I was like, "How much snow you get last year?" Really? No, I'm going back to Vancouver. No way.
Yeah, it's just awful.
But we just got 1.5 feet of snow here in Vancouver over the weekend, which is
what?
Yeah. For Vancouver, that's snowpocalypse.
Yeah.
It's a lovely day in May back home in Nova Scotia, but here, yeah, this shuts the city down, so it was no fun at all.
That's awful.
It was, yeah. Let's talk about this Apple battery issue, along with the AirPod issue, the Beats issue, all of these things that are happening over the last couple of weeks and months with Apple. Does it feel like there's something wrong at One Infinite Loop?
There is no battery issue, though.
Well, okay. Let's look at. There is no battery. You're correct. The issue is that the way the new MacBook Pros switch back and forth between low power and high power, it confuses the battery indicator and gives customers false readings. Okay, is that correct?
Yes.
The problem is, Apple did a shitty job of explaining that. I had to learn that information not from Apple, but from 9 to 5 Mac. Why isn't Apple the one being up front with us?
Whoa. What about me?
I learned from you first.
Oh, my God.
I don't go to the Loop first. Hello?
Yes?
Did you hang up on me?
What? No.
You're about to say something?
Said I told you about it first. You should have read.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. You did, but yours was in along with the rest of the information about Mac OS 10.2. Regardless, is that not this something that Apple should be saying on their website? Hey, folks, we're sorry this happened. We can't fix it, so we've removed this.
Well, they did say on their website with the macOS update.
Did they explain why they were doing this? Hang on. I'm going to the story, the Loop story.
Well, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, they told me why they were doing it. So, I mean, the fact is the battery lasts as long and more than it ever did.
Yes, absolutely.
There is no battery problem. There was a software problem where the time couldn't keep up with the dynamic way that you use the computer.
Yes.
So they took it out. The
Yes.
percentage was always correct. The time wasn't. It would fluctuate.
Yes.
So where is the battery problem? Everybody's talking about a battery problem. The battery is just fine.
Yes, absolutely. There's no problem with the battery. You're going to get 10 hours of life out of this battery, give or take a few, depending on what you're doing. But it feels like, along with the AirPod issue, now AirPods, they were on sale. They went on sale, on Monday? And minutes later, they are now back ordered through next January. They missed the Christmas buying season. Beats is missing the Christmas buying season. It just feels like there's a lot of things going wrong at One Infinite Loop. And none of them are major in and of themselves. But when you pile them on top of each other, it doesn't get, and I'm not saying Apple's doomed or anything else like that, but it just doesn't feel like they've got the handle on things they have in the past.
Okay, so let's look at that again.
Okay.
What you said, that they're delayed until next January.
Yes.
That's in 2 weeks. I mean, you make it sound like it's 6 months away. It's 2 weeks away. And we knew that the way you're talking, it's like you started writing for Fortune or something.
I'm a contributor now, didn't you know?
Sure, they sold out really quick.
Yeah.
But I think we expected them to, no matter how many they had on hand,
Yes.
they were going to sell out very quickly. And that's a good thing. Did they miss the holiday shopping season? Definitely a bad thing. It must piss them off too that they missed that. But when I started seeing people on Twitter saying they're now not shipping until next year, or they're not shipping until next January, I thought, wait a minute, what is the date anyway? It's 2 weeks. Come on.
Yes,
so,
if they ship on January 1st, but it's unlikely to be. It's going to be at least 4 weeks now for most people shipping the AirPods. That's the middle of January. It's the middle of December now. It's going to be at least early February before those Beats headphones comes. This is an issue of the W1 chip. That seems to be pretty obvious, even if Apple isn't coming out and saying it. The odd thing to me is, supposedly the rumor is that the sound isn't going into your brain, isn't coming out of the things in sync. Now, you haven't noticed the problem. Gruber hasn't noticed the problem. No one I've spoken to who had review units has noticed this issue, which seems to be kind of odd, don't you think? They sent out 20 or 30 review units at the very least, and yet none of you reviewers noticed this issue.
I was using mine up until earlier today. I got a new pair today.
Yeah.
But I was using that old set up until this afternoon.
Yeah.
And they work great.
Yep. Yep. And you said that. You've used them on the show several times. Yep. I've talked to Gruber, and he said he hasn't had any problems using his very, very heavily, almost constantly on a daily basis. Other reviewers have said the same thing. Renee Ritchie at iMore, a bunch of folks. None of the reviewers has had any problems. So why can't Apple make these things?
Well, clearly there was something that they found that we didn't.
Yep.
And it was probably either in that chip or, whatever, that they needed to fix.
Yep.
And, it wasn't something that came up. But if they found it, they wanted to make sure that they fixed it. And, with hardware, it's not like a bug. You can just, update it.
Yep.
You got to fix it. So, If it was a piece of software, they probably would have shipped the software and, then updated it. But they can't do that, so.
Along with that, on the loop and site.com, there was a story on Monday. Microsoft says MacBook Pro disappointment leads to best holiday ever. I have a problem with this story, not only because of the way you posted it, but also everybody posted it the exact same way. No one seems to have questioned Microsoft on their numbers. They claim things that is basically marketing speak, but we have to wait for you to recycle your bottles under the bridge?
I got to get a beer for this.
The Microsoft is claiming that MacBook Pro users are disappointed with absolutely no evidence. Microsoft is claiming more people are switching from Macs to Surface than ever before with absolutely no evidence. And no one in the tech community pushed back on Microsoft to say, hey, wait a second, prove what you're saying. Is that what journalists are supposed to do?
No.
So why didn't you?
Damn good question. And I be held accountable for that. Yes, I really should have asked Microsoft. But if you notice in the story, I did say I have a hard time believing Microsoft with all the shit that they pulled in the past. However, if it is true, then Apple has a problem.
Yes, but as one of your commenters, Oh Chim Ming, says in the comment section, Apple does nothing to kill degrading myths about the Macintosh. Perception is very important. That I got to kind of agree with, that it would be nice, and I understand why they don't do it, because they have to put out these little brush fires all over the place. But on major things like this, it would be really nice for Apple to step up and go, hey, wait a second. What the hell are you talking about here? We can prove that people are very happy with the MacBook Pros because people only read headlines quite often. And when you see the headline that Microsoft says MacBook Pro users are disappointed and they're selling a shitload of Surface, you might think to yourself, hey, maybe I'll buy a Surface. Now, I don't think the two are comparable, if only because of portability.
Well, no.
The Surface is not portable. The MacBook Pro is. One runs Windows, one doesn't. I mean, there's no comparison there. It is marketing speak. And I have no problem with Microsoft trumpeting whatever numbers or fake numbers they want to pull out of their asses. I have a problem with the way the media then takes that information and unquestionably passes it on. No story I read from CNET, from iMore, from Macworld, from The Loop said these numbers there are no numbers, so this story is completely, as I said on Twitter, it's a non-story without numbers.
It's like Amazon took over or something.
It's, you know what? Not only Amazon, Apple did the same thing. 3 weeks ago, Apple said we're having the best holiday quarter ever when it comes to the Apple Watch. That IDC story that sales had dropped off 72% wasn't true. And yet, no one questioned Tim Cook and said, well, Mr. Cook, prove what you're saying. The media unquestioningly accepts these things. As Dan Gilmore often says on Twitter, the media tends to be stenographers as opposed to journalists. And stenography, in a lot of ways, isn't a good thing.
Well, fine. Now I'm just going to go cry.
Well, then my work here is done. Good night!
Yeah.
This is something I know Binky's in the IRC chat room. He and I have talked about briefly on Twitter. Our friend Rob Griffith has been railing on Macworld.com over the past 2 or 3 weeks about the fact that they have these stories, and tell me if you agree with this statement or not. Macworld.com is no longer a first-tier website.
Right.
Macworld.com is no longer a second-tier website.
Agreed.
I think Macworld.com now, as it's presently constituted, is barely a third-tier website. It's down there with Apple World Today and Apple Post and all those other little Mickey Mouse run out of the basement Your Mac Life show type websites.
Well, there used to be a lot of very smart people that worked at Macworld, and I take myself out of that mix because I was never one of the very smart people, but there were a lot of very smart people. So what's Rob's problem?
Rob's problem is the ads at the bottom of almost every story nowadays at Macworld.com. They have nothing to do with Macs. They have nothing to do with Apple. They have nothing to do with computers. Quite often, a lot of them are these sponsored content fake ads. These ads that don't have, here's the 10 best foods to eat kind of thing. And
right.
As he said on Twitter, you're killing your brand, Macworld. I argued
I don't think they have a brand anymore.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I'd argued on Twitter, they no longer have a brand. That brand, the Macworld brand, the respect a lot of us had for it, the desire to work for them, the knowledge that they were unquestionably the best Macintosh website, that's been gone for 2 years, if not more.
Oh, yeah, I think,
It's
least.
directly related to them getting rid of Jason Snell, leaving the company, because Jason saw there was going to hell in a handbasket, and he was one of the rats, and no offense calling Jason a rat, but he was one of the rats leaving the sinking ship.
How could you possibly take offense to being called a rat?
Well, Jason, I'd call Jason worse to his face, so I think he'd be okay with rats.
That's true, yeah.
But it's one of those things that I think is really sad.
It is.
That they've taken what once was the preeminent website in the Macintosh community, bar none, I don't think anyone can disagree with that statement, and turned it into a place that just, you don't want to go anymore.
No, I don't.
I read their RSS feed, and if they say something, here's a perfect example. Susie Oakes, which I think people have defended her and said that she's a good reporter. There's a story there now. Check out every single new emoji in iOS 10. Okay, but you go to the website and it's on 30 different pages.
Why?
Exactly. Why? Why do I have to click 30 times to read your story? Well, it's because they want you to see the ads at the bottom of these stories. The automatic auto-playing video with Oscar Gutierrez, or whatever the hell the guy's name is just incredibly offensive. And then at the bottom of it, they have these you might like stories from Viral Scoop, Bright Light, Tracker Bravo. They're all just bullshit stories that, and I think this is, I don't know if you ever had any dealings with them, but to me, this is proof that the ad sales people, the marketing people at IDG, not at Macworld, at IDG, because now these ads are going through PC World and all the other properties that IDG owns. They don't give a rat's ass about the user, about the readers, about the listeners, about the people who are clicking on these stories. There's no doubt in my mind that inside 5 years, Macworld.com will be gone.
Well, I think that it's already gone in the way that you and I and Binky remember it.
Yep.
That part of Macworld is gone. They will be able to keep Macworld up and running as a property, but it'll probably fall even further than what it is. And for what it's worth, Susie is a very nice person. Yep. I like Susie.
Yep.
But she's in a difficult position. I mean, it's not her that's tagging all these ads and everything. She writes and she does what readers expect her to do, and then Macworld, wraps it all in this crap. And what are you supposed to do with that?
At what point do you think that remember back in, I think it was maybe 5 years ago, CNET had their Best of Show awards at CES. And apparently the management of CNET sort of fiddled with the results and made the results come out the way they wanted them to. And a lot of the CNET...
Perfect.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of the CNET reporters quit CNET in protest of this meddling in editorial. At what point?
Yeah, that had something to do with the DVR box, didn't it?
Yeah, something. That's right.
Hopper.
That's right. The Hopper.
The Hopper didn't.
That's right. Because they
were owned by CBS.
Yeah, that's right. and they got in trouble for that. At what point should the same be done from Susie and the others at Macworld? They should quit.
Well, no, see,
are they being poisoned by being associated with this brand?
I don't think that you can do that because people need to eat.
Yeah.
You know, that's not fair at all. I understand that they're standing up for your principles, and I'm sure that if having ads on the website is different than management messing around with your brand and your reputation. But I mean, if they keep doing it and this is the job that the people have at Mackerel, then they should continue to work because they have families to feed or they have themselves to feed.
Yep.
And you and I have been in that position where, it's very difficult. So you take what work you can. I mean, this is it's a tough gig at best right now.
Yep.
So, I think that they have probably all said, like we all did years back, this is not the right thing. And they will say, sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
And okay, then that's what you do.
Yeah, there's no doubt that, you can get trapped into these situations for any number of reasons. I mean, it's the only reason why I write for The Loop is because, Jim has pictures of me with a goat. So I don't have a choice. I'm stuck. I'm stuck doing what I'm doing. But it does bring up interesting
And it's not a pretty goat either. Yeah,
it's not one of them. They're good-looking goats.
Let me just say, it has a beard. So
wait, don't all goats have beards? Wait a second. Speaking of being confused why people do the things they do, you posted a story just a little while ago. Trump speaks to Silicon Valley executives. President-elect Trump and some of Silicon Valley's most powerful executives met at his Manhattan Tower on Wednesday. Is this the kind of thing, and there's been some really interesting discussions about whether they should or should not. Tim Cook being a perfect example of this. Tim Cook sat in a room with Vice President-elect Mike Pence, and Mike Pence thinks that Tim Cook's lifestyle should be illegal.
Excuse me.
Is morally, ethically, spiritually, religiously offensive. Should Tim Cook have gone to that meeting?
I find what Mike Pence believes offensive.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care one way or another how people live their lives. That's their business. If Tim starts doing things to screw up Apple, then I'll care. But it's got nothing to do with him and his lifestyle.
Yep.
It's got to do with the way he's managing the company. And yes, I mean, they had to go. This is the president and future president and vice president of the United States.
Yep.
They had to go. So, you go and you do that. I hope something good comes out of it.
Yeah.
What I thought was kind of interesting is that Trump's 3 kids were there.
Yep.
Why are his 3 kids in a government meeting?
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
It makes sense from the point of view if you think about this as, I think one of the reasons is because Trump has no governmental experience whatsoever, so he has not learned the rules of what you are allowed and not allowed to do as you come up through the ranks. You learn about this when you're a city councilman or you're a mayor of a small town or you're a state senator or. So I don't think he knows what the rules are. Maybe people around him don't want to tell him, sir, this is inappropriate. And the other thing is, he doesn't see anything wrong with it. He has said that he doesn't feel that he must legally divest himself of his businesses because there is, and he's right in this regard, that bizarrely enough, there can be no conflict of interest from the President of the United States. It's actually written in the law that says the president can't have conflicts of interest, but just by him being president. Now, by tradition, yes, you've divested yourself of all those things that might influence you. But Trump has said, no, I don't have to, so I'm probably not going to. And in that regard, it kind of makes twisted sense that the folks who are going to run his business day to day need to know what he's going to do when he talks to business people. And Cook.
Well, they need to know where to invest their money.
What do you mean?
Well, if Daddy says, "Oh, you're a bad company," then we won't invest there because Daddy's going to get rid of that
Yep.
company.
Oh, yeah. And there's a very real danger of that. We've seen it twice already. When Trump railed about the cost of the next version of the Air Force One, Boeing stock dropped by 2%. When he railed about the cost of the F-35 fighter jet, Lockheed Martin's stock dropped 4%. Him just tweeting things can affect world economies.
Yep.
And in that regard,
but
go ahead.
But he won't invite Twitter to the meeting.
And the bizarre thing is, if it's true, the reason why, that is even more terrifying. That this guy is just a giant man-child. Oh, they wouldn't let us use a certain emoji. Are you kidding me? So therefore, you don't invite him to this meeting?
The transition team said that they weren't big enough.
Yes, that's the official reason. But the behind-the-scenes rumor is it's because he wouldn't use the emoji. And that's not true either. Twitter is one of the biggest companies in Silicon Valley.
Well, if you look at the people that were there, Twitter is valued at $13 billion, and the rest were valued at like $30 billion.
Yeah, but still, Twitter's a pretty big frickin' company. If nothing else, Trump uses it on a regular basis as if it were a very large company. So yeah, I think.
Well, and that's what was so weird about it.
Yeah, I think that's a ridiculous argument. And anyone who says because they weren't big enough, but regardless of why they were or weren't invited,
I mean that's a reason you stop dating a guy, not what.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
It is odd, but I do agree with you from the point of view that those guys had to go. There is lots of argument to be made from a personal point of view of why Tim Cook shouldn't have gone. There was no argument to be made why Tim Cook, as CEO of Apple, shouldn't have accepted an invite for the president-elect of the United States.
That's exactly it. And Tim was invited as the CEO of Apple, the biggest technology company in the world.
Yep.
That's why Tim was invited, and Tim should go. And Tim needs to represent Apple, its technologies, its employees, its future.
Yep.
That's what Tim needs to represent. And I think that, knowing what I know of Tim, he would go and represent all of those things with respect and with the vigor that we would expect Tim to do that. And I don't think that Tim's personal life should come into play either from Tim's side or from the Trump and Pence. These are things that are outside of their realm here.
Yep.
This is Tim's life, personal life.
But I'm sure.
And let's not forget that Tim helped build this company.
Yes.
Back to where it is now. Tim was there for a long time when Steve was there, and Tim has taken over and done a very good job. So Tim is very instrumental in building this company to where it is. He didn't just take over. He was there for a long time.
The other argument to be made too is that you go to these sorts of meetings and meet and greets. Maybe you hold your nose, but at least it gives you some measure of influence. Maybe if you keep your lines of communication open, you can influence the future of the decisions that these kinds of powerful people make. Whereas if you just piss them off, then you've got no recourse if they make decisions that go against your company's or business or personal interests. So yeah, I would hope that Tim Cook did not want to go, but realized he had to go from his position of CEO of Apple, not his position as a middle-aged gay man.
Right.
Speaking of middle-aged,
and I'm glad he did.
Yeah, me too. Oh, absolutely, me too. Because if nothing else, you put that persona in front of these people, in front of Pence, in front of Trump, in front of any other homophobic assholes who are out there, and go, look, I'm a normal human being. I deserve and I demand respect, and you will give it to me. I will not cower before you. I will stand up to you. I will stand in front of you, and I will be who I am, whether you like it or not. That, to me, is hopefully the message that Tim Cook is sending across.
and that's what the message Tim has to send on behalf of his employees, and not just gay employees,
Yep, that's right.
but all employees.
Yep.
That's the message that he has to send to them. But more importantly, he has to make business choices.
Yeah.
And the incoming administration has to realize that, hey, maybe we would like to build products here in the U.S., but it's just not technologically advanced enough to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And it's so expensive. How are we going to do this? You tell us. How are we going to do it?
Yeah. Or it's from the point of view of explaining to President-elect Trump, this is why we can't do this, sir. You may not have the information that we have, and let us inform you of why the things that you are saying isn't possible. Maybe a week from now, Trump says, I spoke to Mr. Cook, and now I understand why the supply chain is the way it is. I'm going to move on to something else. Who knows?
Well, the interesting part of that whole story that I linked to tonight was one line that Cook and somebody else had a private meeting with Trump after the meeting.
It was Cook and Elon Musk.
Yeah. So, there's other stuff being discussed.
Yep. Do you read into that, the fact that Apple is a potential car company in one way, shape, or form?
I read into that Apple is a potential first target.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Of Trump saying, we want jobs here. Apple, you need to make jobs here, because he didn't have meetings with anybody else besides Kanye West yesterday, of course.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Don't even get me started on Kanye.
Okay, let's leave that.
Oh God.
Let's leave that.
But
so
going back to that, I don't think for a second that Trump can strong-arm Cook the way he strong-armed Carrier in Indiana. That's not going to fly. It's not going to work.
No. Totally different thing.
Yeah.
But strong arm or deals,
Yep,
I mean,
true. Yep.
Carrier's in a position that a lot of North American companies are, in that they're going to need some deals in order to stay. I mean, it's just reality. It's either that or go out of business. Yep. And nobody before was willing to make the deal, and Trump did. Okay, then, take the credit for it, do whatever you need to do. But the fact is, if Carrier can save enough money to be able to be profitable and keep the jobs here, fine.
And as Dave D rightly corrects me in IRC chat room, I said it wrong. Thanks, Dave. He said Trump didn't strong-arm Carrier. It was the other way around. He's right. Carrier definitely, it may have seemed to some people that Trump strong-arm Carrier, but it was exactly the other way around. Carrier got a great deal out of that because they were moving and not losing a dime regardless. And they ended up with $7 million in tax incentives, and they were still going to move some jobs anyway. So, yeah, thanks, Dave D, for reminding me of that. Let's move on to the next story, and we'll wrap up on this one. You wrote a story.
We'll wrap up when I'm ready.
Getting 50-somethings to pay for stream music. He said this is a fascinating article on the Wall Street Journal. It profiles a news service called Music Aficionado that caters to getting the older crowd to pay for music. Explain that to me.
Okay, so this site feels a lot about music services the same way that I do.
Yep.
And I actually looked at the site. I didn't like it much. But what they said resonated with me.
Yeah.
Because I know people in Silicon Valley, and I've gone over to their house for dinner, barbecues, really light stuff, not. And all of a sudden, the music is playing, and it's like 80s metal type stuff. We're rocking out and we're having a good time, and then a commercial will come on, and I'm thinking, seriously, you can't buy Pandora?
You cheap bastard!
First, I look and say, what is that?
Yeah.
And they said, it's Pandora Radio. Because Pandora does have the best radio, the best algorithmic radio. There's no doubt about that. I said that even when Apple Music started. It's the best, hands down. So I can't believe that they won't pay for it. But when I talk to them, and what I try and get across to people, like when I talk about hip hop and things, there is no service out there that really talks to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm looking forward to Pandora Premium, because according to Pandora, when you open up the app, everything in there will be tailored to your musical taste. That could be a mix of country and rock and metal, but it's all tailored to what you listen to, everything. And I like that. I don't want to open up a music app and see hip hop or soul or anything like that. I would delete those off of Apple Music if I could, but I understand that there's a lot of people that like them.
Yep.
What bothers me is that when I open up Apple Music, that's all I see. Mm-hmm. Even in my For You section that I have meticulously tried to maintain and tweak and tune so that I will only get albums that I like.
Yep.
And yet there's the weekend. How does that happen? Is Apple purposely pushing the weekend to everybody?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, how does that happen? So that's why I'm looking forward to Pandora, because I want a music service that talks to me, not only me, but to every single music listener. So even though my inside of the Pandora app, because of what we favorite and like and thumbs up or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And that's the way a music service should be. If Pandora can't do it, I will be very disappointed.
Yeah.
But that's what I would expect from Apple. Here is your music service, not what we're trying to push on you. Not that, you know, Taylor Swift and Drake now own Apple.
Yeah.
And they're putting their album everywhere, and you must see it.
Yep.
But because you like blues, we're going to show you just a shitload of blues. Yep. And that's what you're going to see. If you decide you want to like some country in there, we'll show you some country too. But we're never going to show you this other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have indicated to us that you don't like it. So we're not going to show it to you.
That's right. It feels like this is another example going back to the Steve Jobs days of, hey, we know what's best for you, so we're going to give you what's best for you. That this is Apple once again saying, you know, I know you keep unliking or disliking The Weeknd, but give him a chance. Give him a shot. You know, but no, once I click that unlike button, don't ever show that to me again. That's what pissed me off with Apple Music. Why I stopped using it was because it kept doing that. And you know what? Frankly, I have neither the time, the interest, or the inclination to constantly correct Apple when it comes to something as personal as music. Guess what? I've got gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of my personal music that I don't need to go through the frustration of Apple Music. I just click on one of these folders and I'm in soul music bliss for the next 17 hours. So screw you, Apple.
And see, what I want a music service to do, and again, this is what Pandora says it will do. And I'm skeptical, but I'm hopeful. When you open up your Pandora app and you've subscribed to Pandora Premium, you can add albums, songs, the same way that Apple Music does. Yeah. But the whole experience will be tuned to you. When I open it up, our apps will look completely different in content.
Yep.
So when I look at mine, I'm not going to see, James Brown and the latest Weeknd album. I'm going to see Ozzy and AC/DC.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the way that it should be. Yep. Instead of a music service tuning it because they spent $20 million buying an endorsement and they plaster banners all over the place about buying Taylor Swift's latest album. Yep. No, show me what I listen to, because I have gone through my library, thousands upon thousands of songs, and liked what I like.
That's right.
And still I get The Weeknd.
Yep. Speaking of liking what you like and being 50-something, have you seen this new website
What a bastard.
What? What?
That was you were calling me out there.
I am.
I'm not 50 something.
Yes, you are.
I am not.
60?
Oh my fucking God.
Have you seen this new website from Josh Topolsky, formerly of Bloomberg, called The Outline?
I did not. I read about it and people were saying, what the fuck? And I just stopped right there.
I firmly believe that, and this is a little bit scary because I got to believe this website is only designed for those people who are under the age of 25. This thing is fucking awful. Remember Wired magazine back in the 90s where they had colors that were almost unviewable, that was like retina destroying? This website, The Outline, is a combination of Wired magazine from the 90s and GeoCities.
Oh my God, GeoCities! I remember GeoCities.
I'm firmly expect to click on a link and see an old under construction tag with the blinky lights.
Yeah.
It is truly, truly visually awful.
Well,
it's almost, at least from this 50-something, unreadable from a visual perspective. It's.
Are you 50?
Yeah. Shut up. Move on.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Shut up. Move on.
I feel like a kid.
Shut up. Move on. Folks in the RC chat room are like, oh God, it's GeoCities all over again. Well, it looks like MySpace. Why? What is that thing? My eyes. Dude, you got to go to this thing. This is an abomination. TheOutline.com, folks. It is without a doubt. And I don't know what your feelings about Josh Topolsky are. I think he's a bit of a goof. I think he's got more promotional.
There's only one person on Twitter that has blocked me, and that's Josh. So.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't use Twitter enough, dude, because I know you personally. You should be blocked by at least as many people as me.
Well, there's only one person that I know of.
I mean, wait. Nilay Patel hasn't blocked you?
No, I don't talk to Nilay much.
Wow. See, I've been blocked by all the biggies, man. I got blocked by Dvorak. I've been blocked by Kara Swisher. I got blocked by. I'm surprised Mossberg hasn't blocked me. I think it's because Walt is old and doesn't know how to block people.
Wow.
Because that's the only reason why that everyone at Recode hasn't blocked me. Kara blocked me months and months ago. Oh, I get blocked by the best people, dude. I'd love to see my block list. I get blocked by people like someone will retweet somebody else. I'll click and it says you can't view this person. I'll go, what the fuck did I do to them? But it's like, I get blocked people. I don't even know why they're blocking me.
So the people you follow right now or the people that follow you are the only ones that you can follow because everybody else in the world has blocked you.
Exactly. And
it's like maintenance.
And
I gotta block this guy.
That's right. And I have no problem with that because every person who's blocked me has blocked me because I was speaking the truth as I saw it to them. So if that's why you're blocking me, I'm okay with that.
Why haven't I blocked you?
Because we don't even talk anymore. I mean, you're just
gotta look into that.
Yeah, no kidding. You know what? And I'm surprised.
I know that. There's a reason that I should be blocking you. I know I've got it written down somewhere.
Well, I'm surprised that you haven't because I've called you out on that awful, awful, whorish behavior of yours of you wanting that blue check mark. It's sad, man. I'm telling you, it's sad. You really want that blue check mark, don't you? Don't lie. Don't lie. You don't lie. No, you do.
There's a story behind it.
All right, tell me the story.
There's a story.
Go ahead.
All right. I haven't told anybody this public. You know that guy I got in a fight with the beard bash last year?
Yes.
He worked at Twitter.
Okay.
And him and a few of the other people at Twitter that actually do the verification blocked me.
No.
Yeah. So remember part of the conversation I said, "Are you speaking for your company?"
Yes.
And he said no.
Yes.
Apparently he is. So that's why I posted, and that's why I was so pissed off, because I found out from a couple of people at Twitter that said, this is wrong. What they're doing is wrong. Because you should have been verified a long time ago, but yet the only reason that you aren't is because you pissed him off.
Nice.
So there's this. That's why I posted about it, because it pissed me off.
But
so does that make sense now?
It does make sense, but I see other people complaining about this thing. Mac Storage.
I don't care about the blue check mark. I care about the abuse of power.
Yes, I agree.
Him and other people at Twitter are doing. And I know I have a number of people, both inside and outside of Twitter, that can confirm it.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to write about it.
You should.
And say, the abuse of this power is, to me, it's disturbing.
Yes.
So employees of Twitter can pick on an independent journalist who maybe that does mean something.
Yeah. Yeah.
For my business. But they can block an independent journalist and think nothing about it because we got into a fight about the name of my free party.
Yeah.
So, there.
Interesting.
That's the first time. That's the first time publicly I've said anything.
Well, thank you very much for clearing that up. I have more respect for you than I did before, which is not saying a great deal.
Well, yeah, that doesn't really mean a whole lot. I mean, let's be honest.
Hey, are you doing podcasts anymore? Is there any podcast I can pimp that you're on?
Well, yeah, I got to figure out what I'm doing.
I know you do, dude. There should be a Loop podcast. I've said this to you for years. Me, you, and Dave.
You did. I know.
You can sell advertising on it. I'll do all the work. I'll do all the recording. It'd be fun. It'd be cursing. It'd be swearing. There'd be contests. There'd be prizes.
Prizes?
Yeah, contests. Prizes.
No, just beer. Just beer.
Well, yeah, but not Heineken, because that's not just beer.
Well, then, fuck you.
Folks, I've been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. He's here each and every week. Thanks, Jim. Talk to you next week, buddy.
Thanks, Shawn.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Jim and I are never, ever, ever going to get past that whole Heineken thing. I'm sorry. That's the only beer he drinks is Heineken, and I think it's urine. I think it's disgusting. I've had 2 Heinekens in my life. I had one Heineken when I was 14 and went, this is disgusting. I'm never drinking it again. And I had one 5 years ago at WWDC at a Denny's at 2 o'clock. So you know how drunk I was. Because if you're at Denny's after midnight, you're drunk. And the only beer Denny's had was Heineken. And Jim was buying, so he made me drink one. I literally took 2 sips, went, nope, this is still the same shit as was when I was 14. I'm not drinking the rest of this beer. So, yeah, it's vile, disgusting stuff. I don't understand how you can drink that stuff. Yeah, Dave D. Denny's after midnight? Oh, yeah, you're drunk. I've never been to Denny's when the sun's up. I've never been to Denny's before midnight or after 6 a.m. I've never been to Denny's sober. I don't think you should be allowed in Denny's if you're sober. Unless you're over 90. Because Denny's is disgusting. I'm not. Macman says, I've eaten there many times after midnight sober. You're weird, dude. Just weird. Let's move on. Starting point photography segment. Did you guys hear this story? One of the problems we all have, I know we all have this problem, with Silicon Valley, and it's partially Apple's fault, I think. This naming of things now, because every word in the dictionary has been taken. So companies have to do stupid word games. So there's a new company called Relaunch. Yeah, we all know how to spell launch, right? R-E-L-A-U-N-C-H, relaunch. Not these cutesy assholes. It's relaunch, R-E-L-O-N-C-H. Okay, right then and there, I don't like your company. Calling it relaunch. Relaunch. Relaunch, a one-click camera with perfect photos for $99 per month. All right? What these guys are offering you is perfect photos for $99 a month. Now, here's how it works. You borrow their camera. They're going to lend you a fancy-looking leather-clad Samsung NX camera with a 30 millimeter, so it's a fairly mid-range lens, f20 lens, permanently attached, that's only got 2 buttons. It's got power and shutter. That's it. Okay? There's no viewfinder in the back. There's no aperture control. There's no shutter control. There's no scene modes. This is a fancy-ass point-and-shoot camera. You ain't changing the lenses. You ain't doing nothing with this camera except pointing and shooting. Okay, so maybe that'd be worth it. You know, you get a fancy camera that you can... Oh, go away, Tom's Guide. I hate these websites that pop up after a certain period of time when you're watching it. So there's the deal. The camera, I'm not even going to say the camera looks good. I think the camera looks kind of silly. It's this probably fancy-ass leather on the outside of it. But the idea is that you take a picture with this camera, okay? And there's a video here somewhere, and got to try to find it for you. There we go. So the idea is you take this picture. You have a big, expensive camera. You took a picture, and you got this underexposed shot. Because you imagined it coming out well. So you pictured one thing, but your camera captured something else, just like every time. What you picture is different from what the camera captured. Okay, well, that makes sense. So their solution is the relaunch camera as a service. See a shot, push the button, relaunch captures the image. Did you see what happened there? It sends it to your device. To your device, sorry. Not a set of filters. It's not auto enhance. It's a camera as a service. What that means is you take the picture, just like you would any other camera, you take the picture, but then the camera, using 4G cell tower technology, sends the picture to their servers, where they then edit the picture for you. And it says on the video, it's not auto-enhanced. Bullshit. It's exactly what it is auto-enhanced. And then, wait for it, the next day, it sends your picture to your cell phone. Okay? So you take a picture, and then 12 hours later, you get to see your picture. So they're going back to the days of our parents with Polaroid cameras, where you took a picture with a roll of film that you then went to the drugstore, dropped off the roll of film, went back a week later, picked the film up, and looked at the pictures. Is that something that's attractive to anybody anymore? At $99 a month? And when you stop paying $99, you got to send the camera back. You don't own the camera. The camera's not yours to keep. So this is what? That's $1,200 a year? Dave D says, yeah, captures raw, post-processes, BFD. Monty says they'll be gone in less than a year. That's what I said too. $1,200. Only hipster douchebags could want to use this. Because for $1,200 a year, even if you only use it for 1 year, with that $1,200, you can get a damn nice Canon and Nikon and a shitload of training. You can come to one of my classes. You can go online and watch 1,000 YouTube videos. You can buy lynda.com membership and learn all about photography for that same $1,200. And learn why the pictures that they shot in their little video, why those pictures didn't come out the way the photographer wanted them to. This company seems to think that the consumer can't or doesn't want to learn this stuff. And, granted, maybe a lot of people don't. I know Jim is a perfect example of that. Jim doesn't want to learn about photography. He likes taking pictures, but he doesn't really care enough to want to learn a lot. Well, maybe he'd care for $1,200 frickin' a year. Macman, real hipster shoots sepia. Yeah, this is an awful idea, an awful service, a stupid, stupid concept that I said on Twitter this afternoon will be gone inside of a year. So don't give them any money. Don't let your friends give them any money. Don't let anyone have anything to do with this because their money will be gone. Wasted. Macman says Jim also drinks Heineken. So that's right. And Dave D makes a good point. This won't make you take good pictures. It can't fix your framing. Perfect example is this picture I took of our snowfall this past, I think, Saturday or Sunday. This picture is a simple iPhone shot. This is not my big fancy DSLR. This is an example of the photographer, knowing what his camera can do. I knew I had the iPhone in my hand. So I know what kind of pictures the iPhone can take. I know what kind of pictures the iPhone wants to take. So it was a matter of not just going outside my front door and taking a picture. It was going and looking for the picture. It was going out and walking out into literally knee-deep snow and walking around to find the framing of this shot, to find the exact right spot to stand for the shot that I had visualized in my mind's eye. Then taking the shot and then being able to edit the shot to bring out the details that I saw when I took the shot. This relaunch camera wouldn't have captured this shot. Maybe the folks at relaunch would have post-processed it in the exact same way. Unlikely they would have, because they weren't there. They don't know what those clouds look like. They can guess. They don't know that the sun was coming out from behind me. They don't know about the blue of the snow and the mountains. They don't know anything about what happened when I took this picture. So that kind of service is not really going to be of any use to people. What is of use is knowledge. If you're this interested in photography, you're willing to spend $1,200 a year, buy a good camera, take some classes. Send me an email. I'll give you 10 different resources of classes to take, whether it be books, whether it be websites, whether that be schools, whether that be online classes from people like me. There's all kinds of resources out there for your $1,200. Don't give it to these twats. Macman says, why do I have the feeling that loading the pics into Lightroom or similar and hitting the auto enhance button? Exactly. There's no reason why they wouldn't be. Simple, fast, cheap. Let's talk about Christmas. Christmas gifts for photographers. The first thing you're going to have to know when you want to buy a gift for a photographer is what kind of gear they already have. And you may have to be sneaky about that. But there's some things you can buy, regardless of what the photographer already has. Gift cards to B&H Video. B&Hvideo.com is a great resource for photographers. Same with Adorama. ADORAMA.com. You can buy gift cards for those places and give them to your favorite photographer. There are things that every photographer can use all the time. A photographer can never have enough of these cards. This is a 32 gigabyte SanDisk card. Only buy name brand cards, SanDisk, Lexar, names that you recognize, Sony that you've heard of. 32 gigs, 64 gigs. These cards are about $20. Buy your favorite photographer 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things. He'll love you for it. I guarantee it. Know what kind of card his camera takes. This is a SD card. Yes, SD card. Other cards are called compact flash cards. They're a little thicker. So know what kind of camera they have and what kind of cards they take. Every photographer can always use those kinds of things. Every photographer can also always use a backup hard drive. This is a wonderful little Seagate drive I use for portable backups when I'm traveling. And I think this one's this is a 4 terabyte drive. That's 4 terabytes jammed in there. Every picture I've ever taken, good, bad, indifferent, can fit on this 4 terabyte drive. So I use that to back up my photos. So, and these things are now dirt cheap. They're less than $100. Look around Amazon.com and those kind of places for dirt cheap things. Every photographer can always use extra ones of those. Lens cleaning kits. I've got 1,000 of these things lying around. In every pocket of every jacket I own, I've got one of these. These are great for cleaning any glass. I use them on my motorcycle, for my sunglasses. I use them on my camera lenses. I use them on my iPhone. These things are great on my iPad. These things are just buy a 10-pack of these for a photographer that you like. They're easy to clean. You throw them in the wash with everything else like that. These are fantastic lens cleaning cloths. Get one of those for a photographer that you like. One thing, if you're looking for interesting, neat gifts, and I got these last year and I absolutely love them. Dave D says, looks like the Optex cloth. Who was that sponsor? There's no sponsor on this one. Oh, yes, there is. This is an old iStock photo one from when I was married. You're right. I didn't realize it was an iStock photo. iStock photo used to give these out to everybody. If you are of that nature, haunt pawn shops and secondhand stores. Every photographer would love, even if they don't shoot film, go to a secondhand store and find an old film camera. Even if that photographer like myself has never shot film, these are kind of neat. They're metal. They're solid. They this one I don't even know. I don't even know if it works. I've never put film in it. I'm never going to put film in it. It's just kind of cool to have this old. I think this is a Russian Praktica Super TL Opticam. I don't know anything about the manufacturer. But last year Kim got me a bunch of these. I think they're fantastic. I absolutely love them. My favorite one is this one. Hang on. Shit. Look at this. An old Bellows camera. This thing is just gorgeous. Absolutely, it's in a little rough shape, but this is a fantastic camera. I can't believe. Look at this thing. This thing is just it folds up. I think. Anyway, that closes. But this is what Ansel Adams used to take pictures. This kind of camera. Love this camera. Never going to put film in it. No clue if it works. There's the shutter release button. You actually hear it clicking. But this is any photographer would love to have one of these old cameras. And you find them in secondhand stores. You can get them for $20 to $100, depending on, talk the secondhand store guy, the pawn shop guy down. in price. So those things you can get any photographer. Next up, you're going to want to know what kind of camera the Monty says, Shawn, you never shot film, really? Yeah, I didn't have the money. When we were kids, we couldn't afford film cameras. We couldn't afford, it was a very special occasion whenever someone in the family shot film for us. So there are I know of one baby picture of me, like literally baby picture, and 2 pictures that I know of before the age of 15. We just didn't have the money to develop film, so we never shot it. So the other thing is you may have to be sneaky about this, but find out what kind of camera your favorite photographer has. There's a bunch of things that you can buy them. One of the things I suggest for every photographer, and I have always done, if the photographer has a lens, not if, but every photographer has a lens on it. And some of the lenses can be very expensive. This is a $1,000 lens. Well, I don't want that bit to get scratched up. So what I've done is I've installed a filter on the front of it. And you can see that filter is smoked, is darker. And you can't see the effect when I do it. Can you? No, you can't. But it's a polarizing filter. As I turn it, it's like a pair of sunglasses. Things get darker and brighter. Can you see that? Kind of. Things get darker and brighter depending on where it is. But this protects this as well. If this gets banged up, I'm not going to buy another $1,000 lens. I got to buy another $50 polarizer. So what you need to do is find out what kind of lens your favorite photographer has. You know the diameter of, there's circumference. I don't know. Are these in diameters or circumference? Anyway, somewhere on this lens is going to say the number. This is a 72 millimeter. I think it's going to be circumference lens on this. And so you go buy the corresponding filter that goes with the lens. Every photographer can use one of these things. Even if it just is a backup, they're going to love you for it. Monty says diameter. Thank you, Monty. And yes, Macman, it was a circular polarizer what I had on this. The other thing you can see on this is I've got a extra battery pack on the bottom of it. And the advantage of the battery pack for me personally is, first of all, it makes the camera bigger, so I've got a better grip on it. A disadvantage and advantage is the camera's heavier, but it means that it's more solid. It feels like it's more stable. The extra battery goes in the side here. But for me, the big deal about this, I discovered this when I was using the Nikon D3S a few years ago at Macworld Expos. So you're shooting like this, but I also always take the camera and turn it this way and take pictures. Well, you see where my elbow is now when I'm taking this picture. It's all off. I'm all cattywampus. It's not as stable a platform. Well, the Nikon D3S had an extra shutter button up here. Well, this battery pack does that. It gives me another shutter button. So I can shoot this way, but when I go to shoot vertically, I don't have to have my hand wrapped around over the top of the camera. I've got it back in a very natural position here with another shutter button right there. So that's why I love this battery pack. I don't even care if it gives me extra battery life. I don't really need it on this Nikon, but it's because of the extra shutter button I've got in the back. And these things are anywhere between, if you buy a knockoff, they're $25 up to $200 from the Nikon one. So find something in the middle range there on Amazon.com or your local store. Another thing photographers can always use is, you see this plastic bit that says Nikon down there? This is a plastic screen over top of my LCD screen. It just protects the LCD screen. This plastic can get all scratched up, and I can just take this off and put on a new one. These are $20 kind of thing. Monty says, my Nikon D300 feels naked without the battery pack. Yeah, once you get used to the battery pack, the weight of it, the feel of it, the heft of it, it makes a difference. You really do feel, whenever mine's not on there for whatever reason, it feels kind of weird. Another thing you can get your favorite photographer. This is from a company. We talked with them on the show. Peak Design. You pull up their website. peakdesign.com, I believe. And they've got a bunch of really neat gear for photographers when it comes to clips and straps. I've got two of their products. I've got one, the Capture Pro camera clip. And that's this thing on the bottom here. And you can see how, oops, go away. I don't want to join your newsletter. I'm already part of your company. Jesus Christ. You can see that so what happens is this red part here clips onto, sorry, not the red part. Clips, yeah, that is the red part. I take it back. Sorry. Yeah, that's the red part on that picture is this bracket here. And then the other part of it hooks onto your belt. So you have this good solid hunk of metal on your belt. And then this part slides into this bracket here. So what happens is you end up with your camera attached to your belt. Imagine your camera at your hip, at your belt height. Leaves your hands free. And like a strap, it's not like floating around, sliding around on you. It's right there. And it's fairly easy pushing that red button to get the camera out of this clip. I really like it. I really like that system. But the problem is when you take it out of that system, now your camera can get knocked out of your hand. So that's why I've also got this other thing from the folks at Peak Design. Yeah, it's called the clutch hand strap. I'll show you the pictures of this thing here. So the clutch hand strap, I love this. I put my hand in there, and this camera is no matter what kind of crowds I wander around in, this thing is not coming out of my hand. Right now it's fairly loose, but with this strap in the back, I can tighten it up for when I'm walking, or I can loosen it up for when I want to start shooting. And I'll quite often have that thing at that sort of loose feel, but then very easily tighten it up. And now this thing isn't coming out of my hand. I love the Peak Design straps. Really good. High quality leather, metal, really, really good strap. So that's something you can get, folks. Dave D says you could even shoot in Rome with that and not have it stolen. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Dave D says, how much does extend the battery life? I'm assuming, Dave, you mean the battery pack? There's another full-size battery in there. So whatever battery life, if you want to put two batteries in, one battery in the body of the camera, one battery in the battery grip, you're going to get twice as much battery power. I never have to worry about it because my Nikon D600 has never run out of battery on me, and I've shot for weekends with it because I'm not using the view screen very often, so that doesn't use up very much battery. I'm using the optical viewfinder, so I don't use up very much battery. I haven't put this on the charger in probably 2 weeks, and I've shot 10 pictures a day in that period of time, and it's still, the battery indicator isn't even showing one less bar, so it's really good for battery life. If you have someone who's a fan of the iPhone, for iPhone shooters, there's all kinds of little gadgets you can get for the iPhone. A little tripod is always good. These little tripods have got these legs that stick out that for tabletop use. Perfectly good little tripods for that. They don't hold this bracket here. Does not hold a DSLR, so they can't do double duty as a small DSLR tripod and a iPhone tripod. It can hold a point and shoot and an iPhone, but I wouldn't try using it with a DSLR. But a little tripod is a good thing. A big tripod is a better thing. Now, depending on how much money you want to spend on your photographer, you can get tripods at your local drugstore for $30, all the way up to $500 ones. Basically, I tell folks, don't buy a tripod that's under $100. It's not worth it. It's going to be cheap plastic. Look for a tripod that, if you can afford it, made out of carbon fiber, not because it's fancy, but because it's going to be lighter. and look for a tripod that's got 4 leg sections as opposed to 3 leg sections. The more leg sections there are on the tripod, the more options your photographer has. And then also look for a ball head on the. You can often buy a tripod separate from the connector, from the part where the camera goes. So maybe you can look for 2 different ones. But photographers generally want a ball head connector on the top of their tripod. If you need more information about that, send me an email and I will try to help you out finding out more about those kinds of things. Software. There's always just idiotic amounts of software that photographers want to use. One of the things that, and there's all kinds of apps. You know, if you want to just pick, Manual app is a great one. Camera Plus, even though the company's a bunch of assholes, the software is really good. Camera Plus is a good app. One of my favorite apps that I love using to show off to people is an app called Photo Pills. Let me just bring this thing up and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. It is an app that lets you see where sunrise and sunset is around you. Just pull this up. iPhone 6 Plus. Movie recording. There we go. iPhone 6 Plus. Come on. Oh, it's not plugged in. Need to be plugged in, you big doofus. Hang on. Plug the iPhone in. There we go. iPhone 6 Plus. So what this is an app called Photo Pills. It's an odd name. But what it does is allows you to know from your location where the sunrise is going to happen, where the moonrise is going to happen, and where the sunset and sunrise are going to happen. So you can see here on the screen, it says sun with a little yellow arrow, a little yellow circle and arrow. That means the sun is going to rise at 7:55 a.m. here in Chilliwack tomorrow morning. It'll set at 4:09 p.m. tomorrow evening. The moon will rise at 8:15 this evening. And you'll see this because it's a dark moon. So it's the new moon. There won't be a moon. And it will set at 8:15 a.m. and rise at 5:34. And then you can see these lines here. Now the neat thing is if you look down here at the, make that go away. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see a time on it. And I can move this time back and forth. So here's Wednesday, Tuesday. Let me get Wednesday. ETD. So here's Wednesday, and you can see those 2 little circles there at the bottom. And this is where things get really kind of neat. That's the moon, and that's the sun. So you can see as I scroll through the timeline, cancel. As I scroll through the timeline, that sun rises and the moon sets. And then on screen, you get the lines that show you the corresponding moonrise. There's moonrise. There's sunrise. So it shows you where this is going to happen, which is really kind of cool. Monty says, what's the name of the app again? It's called Photo Pills. MacMan says, is that current? It's almost a full moon now. No, it's not. It's not current. Right now, currently, I'll show you. What time is it now? It's 7:04. So at 7:04, there we go. That's approximately it. So there's the moon, full moon. It rose. Jeez. It rose here and will set there. And there's the sunrise and sunset. This is really, and the other thing is, you can move forward in time. So I can find out where the sunrise and sunset is going to be in time, but also in space. And this is where it gets really fun. I can zoom out and also add the address too. But if, say I'm going to be traveling somewhere, say I'm going to be in San Francisco You go down the coast here. And I want to know if the sun will rise at the Presidio. So I hold. So now I can see the sunset, sunrise, moon set at the Presidio in San Francisco at any point in time. So I'm going to be there, let's say, Saturday. That's Christmas Day. So here we go on Christmas Day. So this shows me where the moon's going to rise and set on Christmas Day. So maybe I want to go out to the Golden Gate Bridge and get a sunset picture. Well, now I'll know where the sun is going to set, in what direction. It's kind of neat. It's kind of a fun little app for those who want to take these kind of photographs. The neat thing is, I did this a couple of years ago. There is a picture in my mind of a place called the Public Gardens in Halifax. Public Gardens is one of the most beautiful Victorian-style public gardens in the world. And it's got this wonderful wrought iron gate that you walk through to get into the Public Gardens. And I know the Public Gardens closes at 6 p.m. I was curious if I went to the Public Gardens. This was in the summertime, so let's just say it was July. I set the date on PhotoPills and said, on July 16th at 6 p.m., where's the sun going to be? And I went to the location in Halifax. I could actually drill down to find that spot at the Public Gardens. And I found out where the moon was going to rise, where the sun was going to rise and set right from that spot in space and in time. The app can get a little bit involved. There's all kinds of features. There's depth of field settings. There are moonrise, hyperfocal tables, subject distance. I never use any of this other kind of stuff. I've never bothered with the other stuff. For me, I want to know where the sunrise and sunset is. Is there going to be a full moon on this date 3 months from now at this location? Where will the moon rise so I can see it? So there's all kinds of different things to do with this app. PhotoPills. Photo P-I-L-S is the name of the app. It's kind of cool. It's kind of neat. If you want more information about it, let me know. Like I said, I don't play around with all the other features. They're on the website. They got a bunch of stuff on it. I think it's fairly expensive. Dave D says going on the phone now. Dave D, what's the price of the app? Let me know. $9.99. I take it back. It's dirt cheap. $10. That's you want to have a fun app to give to a photographer that they'll have fun with. Get up that one. The other thing you always want to get a photographer, if they don't have one, especially a beginner, is the Nifty 50 lens, the 50 millimeter lens. It's under $200. The Canon one's about $120. The Nikon one's about $150, $160, depending on the sale you get. But if your photographer doesn't already have one, if he's a beginner and wants a different lens, the Nifty 50, great lens. Don't be confused by the price. If you see one on Amazon.com or your local drugstore or Best Buy, and it's a $1,000 lens, that's the wrong lens. There are several 50 millimeter lenses, but they're going to be 1.4 or 1.2 or whatever it is. Get the one that's under $200, and your favorite photographer will help you. Will love you for it. If you want to get a camera for somebody who is more outdoorsy, more adventuresome, who doesn't want or doesn't need a GoPro style camera, or if you want to get a camera for a kid who's a photographer, and kids can be kind of hard on your gear, I have always recommended the Olympus Tough series. Olympus has this little point and shoot, takes decent pictures, not great pictures. I'll be the first one to admit the pictures are not as good as the DSLR. They're not bad pictures. The Olympus Tough series, this is I believe the 850. I can't see. What does it say in there? Ultra wide, whatever it is. Great battery life. This thing has been sitting in a pocket for most of the last 2 months, and it still powers on. Still shows me pictures. Touch screen, so you can focus by tapping on the touch screen. It has a flip-up screen. So if you have a kid who likes selfies, check this out. This is kind of cool. The screen flips around so you can see yourself. I don't know if I can even show that to you. So you can see yourself on the picture. And it's got facial recognition. It's got a histogram. It will do all kinds of shooting modes. It's probably got half a dozen, no, more than that. It's got, let me just see. How many shooting modes does it have? Come on, I can't find the. Oh, here we go. Scene modes. So there's self-portrait mode, sunset, fireworks, cuisine, documents, beach and snow, snapshots, wide 1, wide 2, macro, backlight HDR, portrait, landscape, interval shooting, night scene, night portrait, sport, indoor. Those are all the scene modes it has in the camera. This is the one I used in Mexico a couple years ago when I went and shot video. And one of my favorite pictures was of a self-portrait shot I did in the water and with the beach behind me. It was a really neat shot of my face, and I could frame it up because of the self-portrait mode in there. The only downside is the screen does not flip out to the sides and does not flip down. But it's a small price to pay. But the Olympus Tough Series is a great camera. Under $300, probably get them for $250 around Christmas time. But if you want to, if you want to give someone a camera, it's a tough camera. It's drop proof to 7 feet. It is waterproof to 50 feet. It is temperature proof to -10. It is waterproof, shockproof. What are the proofs are there? Obviously, yeah. -10 degrees Fahrenheit, Sherry. There's a bunch of proofs. It's a tough camera. Take it in the water. I've taken it skiing. I take this camera in places that I'm not going to take my iPhone. I'm not taking my iPhone on the motorcycle. I've mounted this camera on the motorcycle. So there's all kinds of places that you can use those little cameras. If you have any other ideas for photo gear that you'd like to get or you're going to buy someone, let me know. Send me an email to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com or to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Next week is our last show before Christmas. I want your Christmas greetings. I haven't gotten a single one from anybody. Monty, Sherry, Binky, Sly, Hiker, none of you guys. Just send me a Christmas greeting. Just send the YML family a Christmas greeting. Hi, my name is so-and-so. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to everyone at YML. Boom, done. Come on, work with me. By the way, I forgot to send a birthday greeting out to Wayne in my hometown of Halifax. Happy birthday, Wayne. He had a birthday, I think it was yesterday, so congratulations to Wayne for getting one more revolution around the planet. But yeah, birthday, Christmas greetings. You got 1 week to do it. Come on, work with me. Help me out here. Binky and Mel with the family. Come on. Sherry with the cats. Come on, help me out. Can't believe you guys haven't sent me anything. Monty with your electric blanket. Come on. Folks, as always, I want to say thanks to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for joining me here on the show. I appreciate him being here. And thanks to you guys as always. Oh, and the other thing, too, is if you wanted to get me a Christmas present, you can. Subscribe to Your Mac Life. Just go to the website at yourmaclifeshow.com. Left-hand side, you can subscribe for $2, $5, $10, $15 a month, whatever it is. Comes out of your PayPal account or out of your credit card. Sends it off to me each and every month. And I use the money to buy stuff. If you're shopping for Christmas, if you're still shopping for Christmas, you can also go to our website at yourmaclifeshow.com. On the left-hand side, click on any one of the Amazon.com things. And even if you don't buy that Amazon.com thing, and even though we've got some cool stuff on Amazon.com for you to check out, if you click on and buy that thing at Amazon.com, for example, Amazon.com today had just a smoking hot deal. It was the Mel Brooks, a 9-movie collection of Mel Brooks films on Blu-ray for less than $20. That's pretty cool. Also got portable hard drives up there. The other thing for photographers is a Photoshop, Lightroom, and Adobe Photoshop Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop subscriptions for like $10 a month, something else you can get your favorite photographer. But check out the things that we've got on the Amazon.com list. And if you buy anything while you're shopping, while you come through our website, I get a bit of a kickback. So please do that. Monty says, if they're getting a new DSLR for Christmas, do them a favor and find the camera branded camera strap that comes with the camera and burn it. Nothing says, hey, rob me, I have an expensive camera, better than having Nikon in bright yellow or Canon in bright red around your neck. As always, thank you guys very much for joining me here on this Wednesday evening, and look forward to hearing from and seeing you guys during the week or on next week's show. As always, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!